While the screen is big, it's a bit disappointing still, especially when I'm playing first-person shooter games or streaming games via Nvidia GeForce Now. Oh, the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Here it is, guys. I'm finally going to be reviewing this phone 3 weeks later after its release, and after officially switching back to iPhone from Android. What's going on, folks? Lloyd here, back again with another video. Or if you're new here, I highly recommend you hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you won't miss a video that I upload every single week. Okay, the iPhone 12 Pro Max was made available to the general public on November 13, 2020, and I got my hands on it on release day as I'm not a big YouTuber who gets sent unreleased products to test out and review way ahead before launch date. So maybe with the help of you, the person watching this content right now, maybe I'll get there someday, who knows. I've been using the iPhone 12 Pro Max as my daily driver for the past 2 weeks now after switching from my OnePlus 6T, which is an Android phone. And I've been testing it from a day-to-day perspective, seeing it if the new features, particularly the camera, is something to truly rave about. I've also got some honest and unbiased thoughts, so today, let's go over the goods and bads in case you're thinking of picking one up for yourself this holiday season or maybe in the future. But to really answer the question, is the iPhone 12 Pro Max worth it? Okay, TLDW guys, the iPhone 12 Pro Max is not worth it for most people. So if you want to know more and why, keep on watching. Alright, so let's start with the size and design. There's no getting around it as it's Apple's biggest iPhone they've ever made, along with the massive notch that they can't seem to get rid of or downsize for some reason. The iPhone 12 Pro Max is equipped with a gigantic 6.7 inches OLED display, and the screen is the most immersive one to date on any iPhone. Now, coming from an Android device for 2 years, OnePlus 6T to be exact, it doesn't feel that big or as immersive, probably because of that annoying notch. However, if you're coming from another max-size iPhone like the iPhone XS or the 11 Pro Max, dimensionally it won't feel that big as well, though it'll definitely feel a lot more immersive by just a small percentage though because of its slightly smaller bezel, which kind of gives that illusion that the notch is smaller, but it's really not. However though, if you're coming from a non-plus size or max size iPhone such as iPhone 11, iPhone 10 or iPhone XR, or even the first generation iPhone SE 2016, and if you're thinking of upgrading your phone, then you'll definitely feel the massive difference in size with Apple's new-ish flat edge around the body industrial design plus the additional weight increase. The iPhone 12 Pro Max will definitely feel more substantial when holding it on your hands. Now, despite its size, the best way to describe this phone in one word is premium. Apple seems to always go an extra mile when it comes to build quality, minus of course the bend gate with the iPhone 6 Plus back then. However, the iPhone 12 Pro Max is one of a kind as they brought back their design from the past and made it much better. The beautiful stainless steel frame not only looks dope with its flat design, but it also feels way more luxurious on the hand. The caveat with this design is it attracts a lot of fingerprints, which sucks. But after just a few days of using this phone, I realized that the stainless steel makes it a lot easier to grip this device. It's as if Apple designed it hoping you won't need a case at all. However, I would definitely still recommend using a case for this phone because there's just way too many factors involved that would make your chances of dropping it a lot higher than other phones that you might be used to, but that kind of makes the size issue more of a potential problem, as no matter what case you put, this phone will definitely feel bulkier and it won't be the right phone for you if you prefer something on the lighter, more compact and easier to reach device. Now, you're definitely gonna need two hands for majority of the actions on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. And ladies, your pockets will really put this phone to the test. What you'll get in return, however, is probably the best content consumption available on a smartphone today in 2020. And you'll also get a plethora of screen estate with the 12 Pro Max. And if you're a power Apple user, it's definitely gonna feel fantastic. Reading text will be very easy to do. Watching HD and HDR video content is so nice, especially with the loud and bassy stereo speakers. But it's not quite my favorite phone to play mobile games with. More on that later. Having a phone of this size definitely makes it a lot easier to do content creation, media consumption, and some rigorous mobile work due to its faster 5nm process technology called A14 Bionic chip, which basically just makes everything fast and snappy with this phone no matter what you put it through. Another bonus with its big size is having a decent sized battery, though it's actually smaller than the iPhone 11 Pro Max battery by 282 mAh. It's still a powerhouse for a good full day to day and a quarter of heavy usage, and and crazy hours of screen time. What's weird is after 2 weeks of seeing how great the user experience is, it somewhat still brought this inevitable feeling of disappointment. While the overall form factor of the iPhone 12 Pro Max is phenomenal, I feel like Apple didn't push this device to what it should have become or could have become. Sure, they added widgets and other small functionalities that will make an Apple user's life easier, but I'm surprised that there's still no actual split screen or multitasking ability even with its gigantic display. There's also still no Apple Pencil accessory and integration, and really no difference at all aside from it being a blown up iOS experience. The more I use this phone, the more it kind of felt like a wasted opportunity by Apple. For me though, the biggest disappointment of all is the lack of a 90 or 120 Hz refresh rate display, but I get it. A higher refresh rate can impact performance, specifically the battery life, but if there's an iPhone in Apple's 2020 lineup where it would make the most sense, I feel like this phone should have been it. With a larger battery and more RAM than the other iPhone 12 lineup, I feel confident that the iPhone 12 Pro Max is definitely going to be able to handle a 120 Hz or even a 90 Hz display just fine. With that being said though, having those features on this phone with a display this big could have made this phone an extreme game changer in 2020 and probably could help justify its ridiculous price tag. Speaking of a faster refresh rate, let's talk about gaming. While the screen is big, it's a bit disappointing still, especially when I'm playing first-person shooter games or streaming games via Nvidia GeForce Now, which can stream games up to 120 Hz refresh rate by just changing it in the settings. I'm left at the 60 frames per second gameplay, which isn't too bad, but it would have been nicer to just have a faster refresh rate as well, especially for first-person shooter title games. In addition to that, iPhone doesn't support direct gameplay via Xbox Game Pass's app yet. However, Microsoft is working something around that, maybe kind of like Nvidia's cloud gaming. But for now though, I'm basically forced to go back to my OnePlus 6T phone if I want to play any Xbox Game Pass cloud games at all. But again, it's weird because even though that all sounded like me complaining and experiencing a buyer's remorse, well, no. Reason is because there's nothing wrong at all with the phone's current setup, and I actually love it, but I am left pondering about what this phone could have been, but will never be. Unless, of course, Apple suddenly wakes up a hidden ProMotion display feature and maybe a split screen ability with their next iOS update or something. Though odds of that happening will be super slim to probably none. Anyway, I guess maybe something that helped me feel like I have a more exclusive device this year is the camera upgrades that are only found on this phone out of all the iPhone 12 lineup. While the primary wide-angle lens on the iPhone 12 Pro Max is still 12 megapixels, it's actually 47% larger than the iPhone 12 Pro. You also get a 2.5 times optical zoom as opposed to 2 times optical zoom. Plus, it's equipped with an in-body image stabilization or IBIS, which can only be found in high-end DSLR cameras, but I'm pretty certain other phone brands will follow this footstep too. I'm looking at you, Samsung. Now, a larger sensor means it's able to take higher and clearer photos, particularly in low light conditions, and the in-body image stabilization, or IBIS, makes shaky photos and videos buttery smooth looking even when you're on the move. Now, being a content creator, the photos and videos that come out of the iPhone 12 Pro Max are outrageously remarkable. It's as if I got my hands on a really expensive DSLR that fits right in my pocket. Apple definitely stepped up their game with their computational photography and where pretty much the world is going now when it comes to photos taken using our smartphones. Now, that's some fancy word, but what does it actually mean? So, without boring you too much, every time you snap a photo using your iPhone, the chip inside that thing is probably combusting with a plethora of complex equation, and it's taking multiple different shots of exposures and dozens samples of pictures in an instant so that we, the users, can get the best quality picture out there. All of that good stuff is happening in an instant every time we hit that snap button. The best stuff about that, we don't even notice it at all since those crazy technical stuff is being handled behind the scenes by our very own smartphone. And what we get ultimately is some pretty dope looking photos. Now for me, coming from an Android phone that was made 2 years ago, the camera is definitely a huge upgrade. However, if you're upgrading from a previous iPhone model like the iPhone 11, 11 Pro, or 11 Pro Max, the difference is kind of hard to notice unless you examine it really closely. Starting with the front-facing camera, the photo comes out natural and feels as if I used a 35mm lens for a DSLR camera. It definitely comes out a lot cleaner and the color accuracy is done so well, particularly with my skin tones. The front-facing video is really great as well and can definitely be used as a daily vlogging or live streaming camera. Now, what's even better is the back camera. Images comes really clean and very natural even with the wide angle lens. and you really get a consistent color reproduction between the three focal lengths, and the added zoom is really nice to have for either a far-reaching area or occasional macro shot. Now for the video, it really floored me with its capabilities, since the iPhone 12 Pro Max can shoot a 4K video in 10-bit HDR Dolby Vision at 60 frames per second. That is really ridiculous considering this is a phone, and that's usually a feature reserved on like a super high-end movie cameras. But let's face it, majority of the users out there, and probably you, the person watching this video right now, won't really care much about tech specs. So I'm just gonna cut to the chase and say that this phone is gonna make you feel like you're a movie director without having to haul a massive, super expensive filming gear around. Okay, so the camera differences and screen size of the iPhone 12 Pro Max is no doubt the biggest selling point that Apple made during their event announcement for this phone, but is it truly worth picking this iPhone over the other iPhone 12 lineup? Honestly guys, after seeing a bunch of Reddit users posting all kinds of photos shot using their iPhone 12 mini, iPhone 12 and iPhone 12 Pro, I couldn't really see much difference large enough at all, even in low light conditions, to easily identify which photo is coming from which phone, which is a bit discouraging. Even videos taken from a quality and stabilization standpoint, Apple has done so well on all their iPhone 12 lineups that to an average daily iPhone user, there's really not much to compare it to other than its size and internal spec sheet. So if you're thinking about getting the iPhone 12 Pro Max mainly because you think the camera will be noticeably 200 times better than the other iPhone 12 lineup in terms of camera quality, well, to blatantly put it guys, it's not. Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad phone. Actually, I'd probably even say that it's probably the best iPhone I had since iPhone 4 came out versus their iPhone 3GS. But it does beg the question whether this phone is worth buying or if you should just get the smaller, slightly more affordable iPhone 12 lineup. The short answer to that question is no. It's not going to be worth it for most consumers out there, and the reasons are pretty obvious. While it's big, it's quite cumbersome to hold. The quote-unquote exclusive camera features don't make much of a difference at all, especially for an average daily user. And it's also the most expensive iPhone out there right now. Now, I do want to say who it's truly for and who would get the most bang for their buck. And I gotta say it guys, it's for the extreme power users out there. If you're a content creator, be it a TikToker, Instagrammer, Snapchatter, Twitter wizard, YouTuber, or if your work revolves around, creating content, and someone who legitly barely uses their computer and relies solely on their smartphone, then the iPhone 12 Pro Max will definitely be your choice, as it gives you the best experience and powerful mobile computing experiences available right now. And even though there's still a notch and a lack of higher refresh rate, for some folks out there, this phone is definitely enough to be worth it. Alright, well, that wraps up this review guys. So if you are still watching this video or skip way ahead, you probably should rewind back. But don't forget to hit the thumbs up button guys, and if you found this video useful in some ways, it'd be really appreciated if you hit the subscribe button as well to help this channel grow. Come check out my other video of me unboxing the iPhone 12 Pro Max in case you guys haven't seen that. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace.